If you still haven't purchased a ebook reader, I would say now is a great time to invest in one because the price point has come down considerably. Whereas a few years ago, something like the Sony PRS series ebook readers with the same functionality and a touchscreen display might retail for a few $100, we now have the all-new 6-inch ebook reader from Kindle, which sells for under $80. Hey guys, here at OS Reviews. You're checking out our official review, and this product again is very inexpensive. It has 4 gigs of built-in storage, which is more than sufficient for most folks to store any textbooks, magazines, ebooks on here. It also has Wi-Fi built in, and it has all the goodies we've come to expect from Kindle services, including WhisperNet, which offers lightning-fast download. So if you want to purchase a book, it only takes roughly 15 seconds, maybe up to 30 seconds if your Wi-Fi connection is weak. Now, the new version here adds a touchscreen display, which is very sensitive. It makes text entry a lot easier with a full QWERTY keyboard. There's also that experimental browser that you can use to check out any news feeds on the internet, although you can't watch any YouTube videos on it directly. Otherwise, this has a few special ads on here, like on previous iteration models that were the baseline model, and it offers a pretty compelling package for students and also people looking for a budget ebook reader, but it works very, very nicely. Now, taking a brief comparison between this and a model that was released 1 to 2 years ago. This is also the baseline model that sold for around $70 back then, and you can see a bit of a difference. Now the screen size is roughly the same at 6 inches, but a few years back, if you purchased a Kindle e-reader, this version did not have a touchscreen display, whereas the newer one does, and the price point doesn't really have a difference there. So that's one area where the technology has advanced. But if you don't really want a touchscreen display, I would still say the previous generation, $70 ebook reader from Kindle is still a good purchase just because it's a bit thinner than the newer model because they had to incorporate that touchscreen display, and all the technology has to add a bit more to the height, the width, as well as the weight. So it's a bit chunkier than the previous iteration models. Otherwise, I like the build quality. It's crafted out of a polycarbonate shell, which is a one-piece design, so it doesn't creak or cringe around the corners. There's the Amazon logo embedded on the very back, and everything makes sense in terms of logistics. I do wish, however, there would be physical page turn keys on the sides to make things a little bit easier. You have to swipe each time to turn the page, which some folks may not like as much. On the bottom, you have access to a micro USB charging port. It takes about 4 hours to completely charge this e-reader. There's also an LED indicator and also a power on-off switch, which is tactile and responsive, and that's basically it. You won't find access to a 3.5mm headphone jack, which means you can't listen to audiobooks on this particular ebook reader. So turning things on, we actually have to swipe to unlock things this time, so it takes a little bit of an extra step to ensure that your ebook reader has powered on correctly as opposed to the non-touch iteration, and you'll find that the interface is quite familiar. In fact, the OS remains largely the same as what we see before, but obviously we now have a touch display. On the very top left-hand corner, you have access to your name and also your Kindle information. Over here you have the Wi-Fi status, the battery that's remaining, and also the time and date. Battery life is very good. I'd say it lasted me roughly a month or two before I need to recharge it with sporadic usage in between, and that's largely the same as before. Maybe battery life took a bit of a hit, not too badly. I would say it lasted me maybe 1 week shorter than the non-touch version, which reasonably saves a bit more power because you don't have to access the touchscreen display, but otherwise things are the same. The matte e-ink display is great for reading even outdoors under direct sunlight. It doesn't reflect too much light, which is very good. And at 176 ppi, it's more than detailed enough for most text as well as magazines. If you do need a backlight, you can opt for that version, which will retail for about $10 to $15 more, and you can read at night as well. But for this one, you need a night light, which can be purchased separately as an accessory. So checking things out, we have the home screen here. You have access to your books over here. So we have Grimm's Fairy Tales, and I have a few guides as well as a vocabulary reader, and tapping on the cloud key there shows all the books I've purchased from the cloud. It's currently stored on Amazon, my account, and also on my other ebook readers. I can then tap on it, and it basically becomes accessible on this particular ebook reader. Let's say I want to check out Grimm's Fairy Tales. I simply tap on that, and it's very fast to respond. The processor does a great job of keeping up, and page turns are snappy and instantaneous. You notice that for an e-ink screen, there's very little flashing in between the page turns, so this is something that I've seen a marked improvement over the years as e-ink technology ripens. So now we don't have much discrepancy between something like this versus a traditional LCD panel, because traditionally we had a lot of flashing to kind of refresh the page, but now there's very little of that, and at the same time battery life is terrific, much longer than a LCD or an AMOLED panel. So right now we also have the ability for you to slide on the top there to tap on the main settings that you want to bring up. You can change the font size by tapping over here to a larger font, to a smaller one. You can also change the font type if you want to do that. I can change the line spacing as well as the margins, so it's very easy to use. Now, the only limitation I would say would be if you sideloaded your own books, maybe in the PDF file, by loading it from a computer into the ebook reader, and you don't purchase it directly from Kindle, then some of these functions will not be 100% compatible. But otherwise, it works nicely. You can go to a specific page, you can turn on X-ray functionality, you can share different notes and annotations, and also so on and so forth. I can also look up things into the Amazon store directly, and these are quick launch shortcuts back to my home screen and to check out my other books. So if I wanted to annotate, I would simply hold on one word and for a few seconds longer. This allows me to look up the dictionary, for example, of the word. If I don't know the definition, I can check out Wikipedia as well. It uses the Wi-Fi for that. It's pretty quick to respond, and sliding up and down is pretty easy. I can also do a quick annotation by highlighting a line there, and I can add a note, share it, highlight it, or more. So I'm going to perhaps add a note over here, and you can see the QWERTY keyword will launch up. It's pretty responsive. Now, this actually is a multi-touch screen, believe it or not, so if you pinch in and pinch out, it works pretty nicely. And because of that, typing on here is actually pretty nice. So this is a test. There is actually predictive text, as you can see, that shows up on screen, and there are a few errors, but overall it's much better than previous touchscreen ebook readers I've tested. It's like a passive screen, so it works very nicely for those purposes. And so overall, as far as ebook reading goes, it's a nice experience. You can turn the e-reader off, and then when you turn it back on, it actually comes back onto the page that you were on. So it's very snappy, very responsive. Amazon also saves the page that you were reading on the cloud. So if you have another ebook reader with the same book open, it knows that you're on this page. It will automatically sync, which is great. Let's go back home now and check out some of the other functions. Now, there's also popular books down below here. There's a bit of an ad on the very bottom strip, but it's not too bad. I think you can get kind of used to it over time. Pressing the back key brings you back into whatever application you were last in. So if I tap now, it's going to bring me back into the book I was reading. If I was in the browser, it's going to bring me back into the browser. Tapping the shop there takes you into the Amazon shop. So it's going to access that over the internet, and you can see I can browse books. Tap on that. I can change that to magazines. I can also search for specific books. It's going to bring up more things like Amazon Unlimited, specific genres, and afterwards I can purchase any books I want. Again, the process is very fast, and you have a wide selection of books that you could possibly want to read, and you have all the titles, and they're pretty inexpensive as well. They can be $2.99, $2. It can even be free if you look at the correct section on Amazon store. So tapping on the G here takes you into Goodreads on Kindle, which is a new app that's been implemented recently, and you can check out even more book titles. So it's another option that you can use if you want to read, although you do need to have an account set up, and you can create one from your device as well. Wi-Fi is a little bit slow right now, but as you can see, I can create a new account or connect to an existing account. Tapping the bar over here allows me to access some more settings. So if I wanted to go back home, tapping on here, I can turn on my vocabulary builder, which is great for kids as well to see any words they don't know in their books. It records it inside of a book, and you can see your special offers. You can sync across the board with your Amazon account, with your other ebook readers, and of course there's that experimental browser which uses Wi-Fi to access the web. Like the WhisperNet service, I found the browser to actually be a pretty good experience generally. It was overall pretty snappy and easy to use if you need to check something very quick, and it's also great for reading articles on something like the New York Times just because of the ink display. It's very easy and pleasing on the eyes. Right now I have mobile YouTube trying to load over here, so that's obviously something that's not going to play back because there's no flash support, and there's no speakers, no headphones, so you wouldn't really want to watch anything on here anyways. And as you can see, it's trying to load a video, which is why things are a little bit kind of slow right now. But I can tap on the stop there, bring up the address bar, and let's say I wanted to go to something such as google.com. There are also bookmarks you can add as well if you want to go into a particular page very quickly, and I would recommend something like New York Times, and tabbing some of those news article websites just for quick launch access purposes. And that's going to load in a few seconds. You can see that things are formatted basically the way you would see it on your desktop, which is impressive. You can opt between the mobile view as well as the full desktop view. And after a few seconds, things should pop up here. So again, we're still waiting for the graphics. There is going to be a Google Doodle, it looks like, and we are nearly done. And afterwards, I'm going to show you the pinch to zoom. So I'm going to kind of pinch in. You can see things are getting larger. I can pinch out. It's actually very sensitive and easy to use. I can pan around the page quite nicely, bring up the keyboard, which again works well as for inputting text. It's a lot better than the non-touch iteration, which relied on a 5-way D-pad to pick and hunt from the individual keys on screen. So this saves you a lot of time. At the end of the day, the all-new 6-inch Kindle ebook reader is a very compelling buy, especially if you're a student, you don't already have an ebook reader. If you're an instructor, if you're a parent, this is also a great backup device. Now, at only $80, it's highly affordable. The WhisperNet service is developed very fast and speedy. There's Wi-Fi built in. There are tons of things that you can interact and do on here. So if you are a lover of books, this is a great model I would consider at a very low cost. To check out more information about this ebook reader, be sure to read our full RIN review. This has been our video. Thank you for watching your OS review.